Nashville Predators for Edmonton Oilers through. Welcome back to the day after reaction. Myself, Waz. I'm joined by Zach Lang from OilersNation.com. And Zach, I want to be cheery. It's the holiday season, but the Oilers are making it difficult right now. What's going on?
Well, I thought it was a good game last night. Was
It
I mean, I don't,
was. I don't want to be.
I don't
Yeah.
think the Oilers played terribly. I think there were some good things that happened. I think they responded well to some of the adversity that they faced, but ultimately they came up short once again. It's frustrating because you'd like to see them take that one in overtime. The Oilers had a couple of good looks. Darnell Nurse had a few good looks in overtime there, but they couldn't quite capitalize. And then this is what happens when you kind of get lazy on your changes sometimes.
Yeah.
Nashville was able to come down and a long shot was able to beat Jack Campbell. So, I think there's some good and there's some bad that you can definitely draw out of that game. But it was a tough one last night for sure. That's one you'd like to see him win.
Yeah, I think it stings a little bit more just based on that loss against Anaheim, right? It was just kind of like, can we rebound against Nashville? We've had a lot of good games against Nashville. Leon Draisaitl being the mayor, and he didn't get a point against Nashville this time for a change. I think one question mark everyone's wondering, I saw on Twitter especially, is that everyone's wondering, why is Matthias Yanmar getting so much ice time compared to someone like Dylan Holloway?
Yeah, lots of people are asking that question. And I think it's a good question to be asking at this point in time. I don't think I've seen anything from Matthias Yanmar that really insinuates that he's a top six forward. Now, in one sense of the term, the Oilers are pretty banged up. We talked about this after in our last day after video, right? The Oilers are facing a lot of injuries right now, and it's kind of jumbling some of the lines. So, once the Oilers get some bodies back, I think things will start to stabilize a little bit. But Yanmar being in the top six is just a little bit of a head scratcher. He's really not providing anything of value up there that you want to see. I saw somebody tweeting, I think in the last 10 games, he has the third most ice time
Yeah.
at 5-on-5 among Oilers forwards, which is just confusing to say the least. Do I think he's a fine player? Yes, I think he's a fine player, but he's a fine fourth line player. He's not a fine second line player. So, again, the Oilers are banged up. They don't really have a ton of options, but I was kind of joking last night that I would rather see Markus Niemelainen on that second line than Matthias Yanmar at this point in time.
That'd be a bold shout. Some positives from that game, I think, was Jesse Puljujarvi. It was really good to see him score after 26 games. Hopefully, they can provide a little bit of confidence. And I think Jack Campbell, I thought he had a good game aside from maybe the third goal. I thought he could have done a lot better. But Jack Campbell played well.
Yeah, well, it's hard to say because he did allow 4 goals in that game, right? And I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think there's been any games where he's allowed less than 3 this season.
Yeah.
Right. So it's kind of tough to say. He did make some big saves in the middle of that game, that kept the Oilers in it, but we're still waiting to see Jack Campbell kind of steal a game.
Yes.
Right? We haven't really had a game this season yet where it's like, oh wow, Jack Campbell won that game for the Oilers. Where we can say the opposite about Stuart Skinner, where Skinner's won multiple games for the Oilers this year. I think there's definitely cause to be concerned with Jack Campbell and the way things have transpired here. In the same breath, I think the Oilers are going to be patient with him. They're going to be, they're going to give him the time to kind of work through all of this and try and find some decent starts for him, to get some game action. You mentioned Jesse Puljujarvi as well. I thought it was great to see him get off the schneid last night. That was a great goal. I mean, it was a goal. It was a puck that went into the net. Yeah. It wasn't a tremendous goal or anything like that. But, for a guy like him who's admittedly lost some of his confidence, it was just great to see him be able to kind of get one last night.
I thought the goal sure wasn't as impressive. I thought it was good to see him being able to get through 2 guys in front of him to create the chance. So, credit to him.
Yeah. I mean, there's been some talk about him being more comfortable with the puck on his stick away from David and Draisaitl, and I think last night was a really good example of that. It was funny. I was talking to some people the other day about how, Puljujarvi really has had a great, he's actually got a really good shot, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's been a goal scorer in the past. He scored some really nice goals. Then to see him kind of utilize that shot again last night the way he did, it was really nice to see.
Yeah, I've always found that Puljujarvi's always been a good shooter. I think his release sometimes takes a little bit of time, but I think, yeah, if he can shoot a bit more, more goals will come his way, and I think he needs that right now. And a lot of people are saying like, "Oh, this is good. He's scoring. His trade value is skyrocketing. They're good. Trade him while the value is high." But I'm like, well, if we can keep someone to do something in our top six right now or bottom six, that's better than nothing. Or, the 5v5 scoring has been a problem as well.
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, interestingly enough, over the last 10 games, the Oilers have actually been near the top of the league in 5-on-5 scoring, which has been a nice sight to see considering, the Oilers are still producing a lot on the power play right now. Defensively, they've trimmed things up a little bit as well. Back to Puljujärvi too. I think he's looked really good with Dylan Holloway on that third line here. We've had a couple of games to see, and I think the results have been solid for the most part with those guys on the ice. I'm curious to see when Ryan McLeod comes back. I think that's a trio on the third line. I'd like to see Jay Woodcroft try out McLeod, Holloway, and Puljujärvi.
Any final thoughts, Zach?
No, I mean, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, I think we have to touch on, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins a little bit as well here, was too, right? I mean, he's up to 17 goals on the year. He's on pace for 97 points. That's almost 30 points above his previous career high. A lot of this production for Nugent-Hopkins is coming on the power play. And he's still pretty much the break-even player that he's always been at 5-on-5, which, at the end of the day is about the minimum that you can ask for a guy. And if you can do that, that's solid, right? But it's incredible the value that his contract is proving to be in its second year. Making, $5.25 million. This is a guy who's going to be around Edmonton for a long time. And I think it's a great thing that the Oilers were able to keep Nuge forever.
Definitely. I love it. I love seeing it. I hope he can have his career year because, yeah, he's been fun to watch this year compared to last year. Nice bounce back here. The Edmonton Oilers are back on tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. And then back on Friday night, 7 p.m. December 23rd is their last game before the holiday break. So, yeah, we got some more of this hockey still to go here before Christmas. But until then, we'll see you next time.